All right, folks, today's video, how to skim coat over popcorn ceilings. If you want to save the mess of doing scraping, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard. Make a long story short, master bedroom, scrape the whole master bedroom, and it was really tough to get off. I tried all the methods, warm water, vinegar, a little bit of dish soap in there as well. I had painted popcorn ceilings, and mine were really hard to get off. There was no easy scraping like some of your other videos. So you've probably come to this video wondering if you can do the same thing. Number one, this is a 1992 house, not worried about asbestos. You will have some scraping of the popcorn if you do have asbestos before, I think, 1960 or something like that. Don't quote me on that one, but just a little heads up about that is you will have a little bit of dust as you're going the skim coat over the top of this. Now, what you're seeing right here is a lot of lines, a lot of marks. We're not trying to make this look pretty, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to get good coverage for our first round. And make a long story short, I took a 4-inch knife and did the edges so that I can have a nice line, a nice clean line. I'm going to do obviously a second coat to even smooth that out more. I'm going to do a second coat right here as well. So it is possible you will use a lot of drywall mud. I have it in the all-purpose bucket, but I actually have the blue one, not the green one. Green one will work as well. And I highly recommend using a large knife as well. This is a 12-inch. It's going to make your job a lot easier and a lot smoother. Now, another way to apply this, I'll probably be doing this method for my living room kitchen, is you get a really big, like, nappy, I forget the size of it, but you literally roll it on with a paint roller, and then you get up there on your ladder and smooth it out a little bit better. Again, I'm not trying to make this look pretty. I'm doing kind of a high and low texture. We'll come back tomorrow when this dries and we'll knock down all those high lines. And if there are any air bubbles in between, we're gonna knock those out and get our second coat on there. So let me go ahead and get up there a little closer and I'll show you. And I'm using a hawk as well. It's a little bit easier with a larger knife. I just like working with a hawk better myself. So as you can see here, here is my ugly popcorn. And again, it's not pretty, but those are gonna be easy to knock down with my 4-inch drywall knife. And as you can see here, here's a little air bubble right there as well. See, if you put your finger over it, it will go ahead and open up. Anyway, I'm gonna let those dry. I don't really care about air bubbles because I will knock those down as well to open them up. And if you're really concerned about that, you could take your knife, kind of smooth it out. So what I'm doing is I'll kind of show you my method here. I put a lot of drywall mud on my hawk. Just make sure it's not over spilling everywhere. If it does spill, swipe it up, because what you're gonna do if you let it dry, you're gonna have to take your knife and literally scrape your OSB subflooring, or if you already have vinyl in, then you're gonna have to have a lot of cleanup. If you already have your floor in, definitely put down tarps, throwaway tarps. You don't want anything you want to reuse. So as you can see the difference between the edges here, and I did that with a 4-inch knife, but now I'm coming back around with my 12-inch and it just is so much easier for lots of coverage. This area over here, I still need a tape. That was a repaired section, but the corners are looking absolutely fantastic. And it's a little hard to see, but that is a beautiful flat, no texture to it, and I really like that. I've seen some Airbnbs that I've stayed at with high and low texture. It just looks a little ugly. And then I have a beautiful ceiling because I use Benjamin Moore ceiling paint, which is absolutely phenomenal. So this bedroom was, I took the popcorn off. It took a long time. This mudroom, I didn't want to do it. I will be dropping down the light and removing the light entirely. Probably tomorrow. I'm just trying to get as far as I can before I do need to get a little workout in the books. But let's go ahead and take a look at my bucket here. I don't have much left, so I'm going to go ahead and just clean up that bucket, clean up my tools, and call it a day. But again, you're going to blow through quite a bit of drywall mud doing this method, but it just saves time instead of scraping off your popcorn. So let me go ahead and put the camera on the tripod. Let me show you what we got. Okay. And what you want to do is you want to get it more towards the center of your hawk, because it will drip, especially the more you have on here. The reason I like more with this method is because I don't have to keep going back down or refilling it after like literally 2 minutes. So let me get it from the edge here. and I just load that sucker up. I load that sucker up. Obviously it's dripping right now, but let me go ahead and load that sucker up. And then I wipe it on. And because of the thickness of it, that's not gonna drip on you, but if it does drip on you, what I like to do is hold my hawk underneath it like that, scrape it on, and again, the 12-incher is really, really nice to get a lot of coverage. And then, see like that there, and then I let it drip on my hawk right there, and then come back and get it like that. Now, what I do for connecting over here to my 4 inches, my 4-inch corners, you don't have to do that if you don't want to, but then I come in with like a sweeping half-moon motion. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be right back to the video, but I do want to thank today's sponsor, which is Manscaped. They have just come out with their Lawnmower 5.0, and this is the Platinum Package 5.0 Ultra. What you get is beautifulness all in one beautiful bundle right here. Let's start on this side here. They give you a body buffer right here. This is really nice. I have one in my shower right now. You put your body wash on there and you scrub away. That is included. You also get deodorant, which I also use. You get their body wash and you get their shampoo and conditioner 2-in-1 as well. Again, I use their body wash every shower. I use their deodorant. I use their body buffer. These are products that I use. Depends on when you're watching this. This is a great gift idea, and I'm actually going to be re-gifting this to someone in the friends and family circle. So, after all we just saw, of course, because this is the Platinum Package 5.0 Ultra, you get yourself, let's go ahead and start over here. You get your crop soother. You get right here your crop preserver. You get your Weed Whacker 2.0. This is an ear and nose hair trimmer. I actually just used mine today, matter of fact. They were getting a little bit long, TMI, but that's what it is used for. You got your little brochure right here. And of course, your brand spanking new Lawnmower 5.0. I have a full review video on this already on the channel. And what makes this one different is, again, this is the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra trimmer. You get your very short hair accessory for the top of your Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. We're not done quite yet, ladies and gentlemen. Underneath, you have your provided travel bag. Great for your overnight trips. You got your charger for both the Weed Whacker and the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, as well as your accessories, trimming guides in here as well. We are still not done quite yet. You also have some literature, and they also do give you a cool little like newspaper. You could put that down for your first use, trim up, and then chuck that in the trash after you're done. But they also give you a pair of their brand new Boxers 2.0, which I have many pairs of these already. Super soft premium boxers. These are in the black color right here, and these are a size too big, or I take these out of the package and keep them and then re-gift the rest, but those are size large, and so I'll go ahead and gift these out as well. You're like, Chris, that's a pretty sweet little package deal. I totally agree with you. If you want to get 20% off and free shipping on this package or any of their other packages, or you can buy these things solo if you want. If you want to get 20% off and free shipping, top link in the description box below will be my direct link. Use that link. You're going to head over to their website, and the 20% off and free shipping will automatically be applied with that link. Grab your gifts. Grab it for yourself. They're great products. They do a great job. You'll thoroughly enjoy them. Thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. And now let's get back to the project. Now this is safe here. Now, with regards to the first coat from last night, since I did this, we're coming up on about 24 hours or so, but it's been wet, it's been cold. It's been kind of a drizzly, wet last couple days for Colorado summer. Typically we're hot, everything dries out very quickly, but it's been almost like the Pacific Northwest the last few days. My first day of skim coat over the popcorn ceiling has not fully dried yet. The edges have, because it was kind of thinner as I pulled it back, but the main portion is not. It's starting to hard, which is nice, but I need to give it more time, as well with one of my corners, actually both my corners, because it was just a little thicker in the corners, needs a little bit more time to dry. That does slow the job down as well. I just did this portion right here, and so what I'm doing is I'm not going back over any of the parts that are still drying, but I'm starting at the very edges that again are dry, and then I'm just bringing it back, and we'll go ahead and go around this light, Doesn't have to be pretty again. Remember, after this fully dries, we're gonna take our knife and we're just gonna scrape down the high points. But remember, the first go around is a lot thicker because it has to literally go popcorn head all the way down to the mole, I'm gonna call it. So again, doesn't have to be pretty, but do watch how much you do put on there and have your hawk ready if you need to go ahead and clean it up. And we might get out the 4-inch drywall knife just to go around this light. Might be a little bit easier than trying to use a big old one. So let's grab the 4-inch. And if you were gonna use the 4-inch for the entire mudroom ceiling, it would take you forever. So invest, I'll have it linked in the description box below the video. Invest into a larger knife. And I've been using the 4-incher, especially for like the drywall screw holes. But in all honesty, I should probably switch back over to my 6-inch for my taping lines, my larger taping lines. It just covers it a little bit better. But for corners, I do like a 4-inch 4 corners. And let's get all the way around. Now I'm going around the actual plastic lamp housing. That's not the proper term, but can't think of what the word is right now off the top of my head. Electrical housing, I should say. So again, we're gonna go right around it with the 4-inch blade, and that's looking good there. We'll smooth out the outside area a little bit here. Cool, okay. Now I can go back to my large 12-inch. Alrighty, all finished with the mudroom ceiling for Skim Coat coverage number 1. Now, you'll actually find that once you start cooking through like day 2 of your mudding or your second layer, you just get better. Your technique gets better. Your turns, your half moons, your scrape offs will be smoother and smoother each and every time. What's up, Berea? Hi, baby. So do keep that in mind, that it gets better and better and easier. So day 2, I have less of these, and I might just be paying attention to it. That's gonna fill in on number 2. But see the divot? And I can't do that right now because that is still fully drying and hardening, and I don't want to put fresh mud over mud that still needs probably another 12 hours or so before fully drying. But you can see the difference between what's wet and what is dry. And this portion actually, maybe I did a little bit of that last night. I can't really remember off the top of my head. But anyway, that went a lot quicker and a lot easier. 12-inch knife. Again, I've already said that plenty of times. But starting the job just in the corners, you might even want to skip the smaller knife in the corners and just go with the 12-inch right off the bat. See, here's day 1. And I just kind of have some knockdown patch areas. So you can see the difference. So see this is still needing to dry, where this is dry. This is not, this is not, this is not. So you can tell the texture. I do want to talk about this step here. Okay, so I'll get a little closer up there. It's getting a little bit late. Got a late start today. I got my 4-inch knife right here. You can use a 6-inch knife. You can even use a 12-inch knife if you really want to. After it is fully dried, so let's get up here a little closer. What we're looking for here, again, this is not perfect. There's definitely going to be some grooves and all sorts of stuff. But what we're trying to find is we're trying to find the boogers and the really big, like, high ridges. And what we're trying to do is, again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to slice down some of these boogers. Let me see if I can find one I missed here. Let's see. Well, I think you guys get the idea here. What we want to do is any droplets, boogers, anything like that. Again, there's going to be creases, but what we want to do is we want to try our best to knock down any super high spots, boogers, etc. before we do apply the second coat. We're going to apply it in the same fashion. What we're going to try to do is try to apply, obviously, a little bit less, because the first coat, we had to fill in everything between the popcorn, but now we do have some dimples and stuff like that. So what we're gonna try to do on this one is get it very smooth like you would corners or something like that. We're gonna try our best to do it. If for some reason you need to go back and do a third coat, not a problem. You can do it even thinner and smooth it out even better before you do sand it. But knocking down the high ridges and high spots and boogers is going to prepare for the second coat. And some of these areas you might have to get a little thicker to fill this in. Now we're going to be a little bit more delicate with kind of gumming around in nice little half moon shapes, trying to do a little bit better of finish work. And sorry again because it's a little bit dark. And I'll be back with you tomorrow after I do that and kind of show you the texture and how it looks. Again, from day 1 to day 2, it looks better down there in person. I know camera is still picking up a lot of highs and lows, but you'll get the hang of it and just be a little delicate. Crank out this second coat, be a little smooth. You'll get it done. Okay, folks, it is the next day after skim coat number 2, and it definitely is not pretty, nor is it finished. Now, some of you guys might like the high-low texture. I do not myself, and so we're gonna smooth that out. There are a few spots where I do need to go ahead and put on a very, very light coat on a 3 coat, and then a couple areas we do need to knock down, etc. Now, sanding is gonna be taking care of majority of the smoothness of the texture. But before we do sand, again, I'm gonna come back up here to some holes that potentially, air got in there and then popped on me after it dried. Now, the good news is it's 87 degrees. It's very, very warm today. So this sucker has dried beautifully compared to, there's another high spot right there. So again, we're gonna use our 4-inch knife. We're gonna scrape those high spots down, clean it up a little bit before we do sand it. So the warmer the weather, if you're in the Pacific Northwest, it's rainy, it's probably gonna take you, again, about a day and a half, 2 days to be fully dry. But this is literally fully dried. But it wasn't this morning, early this morning, but it's now like, past 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But this morning it was still drying where I finished late last night. I finished about 11:30 at night. So again, this is after number 2. Definitely some high and low spots still. Not perfect, but we are gonna get it perfect and it's gonna be absolutely fantastic. So the goal is to get it as smooth as this master bedroom ceiling, which I took a lot of effort sanding, and this is a pretty big master bedroom. And then Benjamin Moore ceiling paint, if I didn't already say that. And you have to paint it on a special way so you don't see any streaks when the light comes in. Definitely subscribe to the channel. I already have that video up. And we are gonna be doing the same method here. This bathroom was fresh drywall with just mudding and taping the seams. So that is another option if you feel really frisky to just put fresh drywall up and then just tape and mud the seams. But that's quite a bit of effort. You kind of have to have a big truck or a van to get the drywall. Then you got to cut the drywall, then you got to hang the drywall up, and then you got to screw it in. So teach their own. Okay, before it does get a little bit too dark to film, this is very light coating of some spots that needed to be filled. So technically this would be our 3rd coat. So as you can see here, it is drying. And what I did in this case is instead of using the 12-inch knife, I used the 6-inch knife. And then what I did is with the light that's coming in the window right here, I just saw some spots that might be some discrepancies later down the road, filled them in, and try to get it as smooth as possible. We have not sanded yet. All we have done is knocking down our high spots, or if you do have a crater, I just opened it up with my knife a little bit so it was able to fill in and not air bubble out for some reason if you did get an air bubble in there. Or just picture like a pimple that you need to dig out, create a crater, and then fill it in with some nice mud. So as you can see here, all these dark marks, that is all the mud that I've put up there. But again, it is drying very quickly. A couple bigger areas over here, and that should do it. Absolute worst case scenario, I'll go back after I sand, and if you're a perfectionist, you'll probably find something. Worst case scenario, let's say you paint your ceiling and there's something that you missed that you forgot in prime check, and you're like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do about that? Don't worry, you can use the good old pink Dry Dex spackle. This stuff you do not have to prime over again. So again, let's say you do prime and you're like, darn it, I need to fill in something. Use this, and actually, correction. So use this before you paint. And we're gonna get to prime check in my other video about doing the ceiling. But this is a great product so you don't have to do drywall mud after primer if you did miss something. Okay, let's look at the machine I'm using for sanding the ceiling. Definitely 3M mask. I keep saying that, but protect your lungs. I have eye protection on as well, and you're gonna get really dusty, as you can see. So obviously the mask covers my face. Eye protection I've already wiped off. If you can, it's 85 degrees today. Wear a hoodie and long sleeves, but I've put a little bit of plastic here. It's not perfect, but hopefully this will help not go too much into the living room, etc. I do have some windows open for some fresh air as well. Bedroom, bathroom door are closed. Tankless water heater is covered up. And let me go ahead and show you what we got here. So this was a product review. A company sent this out. I have a full tutorial on the channel about how to use that. Has a LED light. Let's go ahead and whip it over. It's a pretty cool machine. So here's the LED light all around, so you actually can see what the ceiling, what is up on the ceiling, and then big sanding pads it comes with. This is 220 or 240, very fine sandpaper, and then a brush as well so you don't ding your ceiling. Motor on it, variable speed, and then hooks up to this bag. It doesn't suck up very well into the bag, but it does suck up at least all the drywall dust so it doesn't fall too much on you, but then you got to very carefully turn it over, and instead of sucking into the bag, which it's just not powerful enough to do that, then it goes on the ground, these big piles. So anyway, it does a great job. I just wish it would suck into the bag a little bit better. Make a long story short, it does your ceiling and does it quick. Absolutely love it. Now, I am going to have to get into the corners with my sanding pad over here, and that's where it gets pretty messy. But the good news is, after you sand it with this machine, then you get up there and you start finding some discrepancies like this here. And then what you do is, just like your screw holes around here, just go ahead and do a nice little light base to it. And then what I do is, if it's a lot of discrepancies. Now I am going to be putting drywall primer and sealer on the drywall mud to seal it in. And so if you do have any pencil marks, etc. on your ceiling, then you are good to go. Now I am kind of a perfectionist when it comes to ceilings, so I am going to come back now. We've already done 2 full skim coats and a 3rd look over, but of course there are still some discrepancies, so I'm gonna go ahead and just get it. This is actually a really good time of daylight to look at your ceiling to see any discrepancies, but remember, if you do see something after your primer and sealer, then again, use Dex Spackle Pink, turns to white, light sand that, and then paint when you are ready to go. Okay, after a few hours of sanding, it is looking absolutely fantastic. There is, I'm talking about, it's just my perfectionism-ish-ism. There's a few discrepancies, but it looks really, really good compared to what it was. Now, there are a few little touch-ups I need to do. Again, I just pencil it. Goodness gracious, that ceiling is looking absolutely fantastic. That's looking like my master bedroom ceiling, and oh my goodness, removing popcorn and smooth surface, no orange peel. Again, my house has no texture, no orange peel. It's just beautifully smooth. All right, so perfection has a limit. It looks really good. It's time to go. It's time to seal and primer these drywall, fresh drywall. It's gonna be a nice coat, not too thick, not too heavy, but just like you're normally painting. This is what I'm using, and whatever you do use, it has to be drywall, primer, and sealer. What does it say? Primer and sealer. This is by Kilts. Highly recommend. I've used this on the bedroom, bathroom so far. Now we're gonna go mud ring. Not very expensive. This is a big 2-gallon jug. I wanna say it was like in the mid to high 30s or something like that. Don't quote me on that one. Never know with prices these days. They go up, they go down, they go all around. He's gonna get 1 coat of the primer and sealer, only 1 coat. Then we're gonna do a prime check. Basic summary about that, I'll show you when we get to that part, but basic summary is we're gonna look at any discrepancies in different times of light, afternoon sun coming in, etc. And then what we're gonna do in that situation is we're gonna fix any discrepancies with the pink spackle, which I showed you earlier. We're gonna fix it with that because then we don't have to re-primer over that. So this is gonna seal the bare drywall and all the mudding. This is gonna seal it in real nicely. And then we're gonna do a prime check. We're gonna look at the ceiling. Anything you can't live with during prime check, we have to acknowledge it. Either A, we're gonna deal with it, B, we're gonna fix it. And this is when it starts to come together. Wear eye protection because of the ceiling, obviously. I already have found a few discrepancies that I just can't live with. A little hole thingamabobber right there. I do need to fix something right up in here as well, so I'll use the pink spackle to do that so I don't have to re-prime over it. Okay. Okay folks, now we're doing prime check. Now I waited till the next day. As I always tell you, I'm a slow worker and I wanted to make sure I get nice little high noon. I started about maybe a half an hour ago or so. So I wanted the morning light coming in and hitting the ceiling, hitting the walls. Definitely don't buy too much. This stuff does dry out if it sits on a shelf. So don't buy a really big one if you don't need it. But let's go ahead and look at this here. It goes on pink, and then when it dries, so you can see a little bit of pink here, that's not ready for sanding. This is completely white. This is ready for sanding. And then I have all my spots in the ceiling. There's quite a few. Again, I just kind of went over the top, wanted to do it right. And most of these imperfections, literally, you would never notice. No one would ever notice, but since I already got the spackling out, might as well. I've made my pencil marks so I can see what I'm doing. I'll come back and very lightly sand that smooth, and then we'll go ahead and start painting. So I'm gonna go to the store and I'm gonna go buy more Benjamin Moore paint. Unfortunately, Ace Hardware is the only place around here. The big box stores, for some reason, don't carry Benjamin Moore that I'm aware of. But if you haven't heard of my hack already, let's say you love Benjamin Moore colors. This paint right here was purchased at Lowe's. Then I took a color palette sample with the number of the Benjamin Moore paint color that I wanted. I told the girl at Lowe's, can you match this paint that I bought at Lowe's to Benjamin Moore Simply White? If you're interested in that, go ahead and pause that. And I think the number is right there for Simply White. Or just go to a store that sells Benjamin Moore paint, grab the paint sample, and then do it that way. But regarding this Benjamin Moore ceiling paint, I have to go to Ace Hardware, which unfortunately is about 25 minutes each direction, is the closest one. This is amazing ceiling paint. This is Benjamin Moore ceiling paint, waterborne ultra flat, 50809 white color. Not cheap. Last time I was in the store buying this a year ago, maybe less than a year ago. It's $50 for 1 gallon. It's not cheap at all, but it's absolutely amazing. I've done the master bath ceiling. I've done the bedroom. Absolutely fantastic. And I'm going to be doing 2 coats, but you could get away with 2 coats on a mudroom size like this with probably half a gallon. Now, I already have a full video about how to paint a ceiling. You have to do it in a very precise manner. How the light is coming in. You have to do 1 coat one direction and then finish off with the second coat the other direction, so you don't see the lines going back and forth. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely stunning. Benjamin Moore Ultra Flat Ceiling Paint has done it again. And with my technique that I have mentioned several times in the video, watch my other how to paint your ceiling video like a professional. I'm not seeing any streaks. I'm not seeing any brush strokes in the corners, and it has turned out absolutely stunning. This was definitely a success. Drywall mudding over popcorn ceiling, and I plan to do the same thing once again to the living room as I head that direction. And when it starts to come together, ladies and gentlemen, it's looking absolutely fantastic. If you wouldn't mind, hit that thumbs up button on your way out, helps the channel. Also subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, as well as this mudroom fully transformed, as well as all the other videos and completion of rooms that I've already done already. Look in the description box below for any tools and items that I use for these projects. And definitely subscribe once again. We will see you on the next video. Take care for now. Bye-bye.